My work husband and I were just friends, until his wife showed up at the office screaming, "I know everything." Shocked, I tried to calm her down, but she pulled out screenshots of doctored messages. "You think I'm stupid?" she yelled. My coworker looked terrified and whispered, "I swear I didn't send those." That's when I realized someone else in the office was setting us up. And when I found out who, my blood ran cold. I never imagined I'd be sharing something like this, but here I am. I've been working at a marketing firm in Chicago for about 5 years. Over time, I developed a close friendship with a colleague named Daniel. We started around the same time and quickly became work buddies. We'd grab lunch together, collaborate on projects, and occasionally hang out after work with other colleagues. It was always platonic, at least, that's what I believed. Daniel is married to a woman named Rachel. I've met her a few times at office events, and she always seemed pleasant. I never had any reason to think she disliked me or felt uncomfortable with my friendship with Daniel. A few weeks ago, our office was buzzing with preparations for a major client presentation. Daniel and I were working late nights, trying to get everything perfect. One evening, as we were wrapping up, he mentioned that Rachel had been acting distant lately. He seemed genuinely concerned, and I offered a listening ear. We talked for a while, and he thanked me for being there for him. Fast forward to last Friday. The office was relatively quiet since many were working remotely. I was at my desk when I heard a commotion near the entrance. Suddenly, Rachel stormed into the office, her face red with anger. She was yelling, "I know everything." The room fell silent as all eyes turned to her. I was utterly shocked and approached her, trying to calm her down and understand what was happening. She pulled out her phone and showed me a series of screenshots. Messages that appeared to be between Daniel and me. They were explicit and suggested an affair. My heart raced as I read them because I had never sent or received such messages. Rachel looked at me with tears in her eyes and shouted, "You think I'm stupid?" Daniel came out of his office, looking terrified. He glanced at the screenshots and whispered to me, "I swear I didn't send those." That's when it hit me, someone was setting us up. After Rachel left, still furious and unconvinced, Daniel and I sat down to figure out what was going on. We both knew we hadn't sent those messages. The only logical explanation was that someone in the office had access to our computers or phones and was trying to sabotage us. We decided to approach IT to see if there had been any unauthorized access to our accounts. The IT team was cooperative and began an investigation. A few days later, they found that our emails had been accessed from an internal computer, belonging to a colleague named Lisa. Lisa had joined the company about a year ago. We had a cordial relationship, but we weren't particularly close. I couldn't fathom why she would do something like this. HR was brought into the loop, and Lisa was confronted with the evidence. After initial denials, she broke down and confessed. She admitted to having feelings for Daniel and felt jealous of our close friendship. In a moment of desperation, she decided to fabricate the messages, hoping it would drive a wedge between Daniel and Rachel, and perhaps even between Daniel and me. Lisa was terminated immediately. Daniel took some time off to mend things with Rachel. I haven't spoken to him much since the incident, giving him space to work on his marriage. The whole experience left me shaken and made me reevaluate workplace relationships and boundaries. I wanted to share this story as a cautionary tale. Even innocent friendships can be misconstrued, and it's essential to be mindful of perceptions. I never imagined something like this could happen, but it did, and it turned my world upside down. Thanks for letting me share. After Lisa got fired, things didn't just go back to normal. If anything, they got worse. Daniel took a leave of absence to work things out at home, but the office still buzzed with gossip. Some people believed me, others didn't. You could feel the tension walking through the hallway, people whispering, quick glances, pretending to be nice. It was clear they thought there might have been some truth behind those fake messages. And honestly, that hurt more than I expected. Then weird stuff started happening. At first, it was small. A memo would go missing from my desk. My lunch, which I clearly labeled, disappeared from the fridge 3 days in a row. I brushed it off. Told myself people were careless or just rude. But then I started getting emails from clients saying they never got the reports I sent. Which was strange, because I always double-check my work. I went to IT again. I was starting to feel paranoid, but I needed to know I wasn't losing my mind. Turns out, someone was logging into my work account, again. But this time it wasn't Lisa's computer. It was from inside the HR department. That's when everything turned sideways. I requested a full access log. IT hesitated but eventually passed it to me through a friend. The login trail pointed to one person, Mia. Now, I know what you're thinking, who the hell is Mia? Mia is our HR manager. Quiet. Organized. Never really got involved in office drama. Always seemed neutral. She was the one who handled Lisa's firing, who comforted me afterward, even brought me coffee once when I looked tired. I didn't get it. Why would she have it out for me? I started digging. I stayed late, checked old emails, even asked a couple of coworkers if they'd noticed anything weird. One of the junior guys, Josh, hesitated when I asked. Then he said, "Look, I don't want to get involved, but Mia used to be really close with Lisa. Like, best friends close. They had lunch every day before you started hanging out with Daniel Moore." That made my stomach drop. So, I did something I probably shouldn't have. I followed Mia. After work, I tailed her to a cafe in Lincoln Park. She sat down with someone, and my jaw nearly hit the floor. It was Lisa. The same Lisa who got fired. They were sitting across from each other, talking fast, looking around nervously. Mia passed her something, a flash drive, maybe? I couldn't get close enough without being seen. But I took pictures from my car. I knew something bigger was going on. This wasn't just jealousy anymore. It felt like a setup. Like a coordinated one. The next day, I brought everything to my manager, screenshots, photos, the logs. He looked overwhelmed but promised to escalate it. And then? I got called into a meeting. Not with my manager. With corporate. They said they had received an anonymous tip that I'd been accessing private employee data without authorization. That I had violated security policies. They were suspending me while they investigated. Just like that, tables turned. Again. And I realized something chilling, this wasn't over. Someone really wanted me gone. Someone was still pulling strings. I'm still suspended now. I'm writing this from my kitchen, wondering how the hell it got this far. I know I didn't do anything wrong. But I also know someone out there is making sure it looks like I did. And the worst part? Daniel's still not talking to me. I don't even know whose side he's on anymore. Okay, so here's where it starts to spiral deeper. A few days into my suspension, I got a message on LinkedIn. From a fake account. At first, I almost ignored it. Just some blank profile, no photo, no name, just office friend 87. But the message? It was short. Just one line, "You're looking in the wrong direction." My heart dropped. I stared at it for probably a full 5 minutes. It wasn't threatening, exactly. But it was chilling. I didn't reply. I just screen captured it and forwarded it to my personal email. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about that message. The wrong direction? So, not Lisa? Not Mia? I went back through everything. I opened every email, every forwarded message, every interaction I'd had in the last 3 months. And then I found something I hadn't really paid attention to the first time. A small email from my coworker, Shane. Now, Shane's not someone I thought much about. We weren't close. He worked in accounts, different floor. Friendly enough when we crossed paths, but that was it. The email was just a forwarded meeting invite. But the weird thing? It showed he had access to a shared drive, my team's drive. That shouldn't be possible. And the timestamp on that file access was the exact same day Rachel showed up screaming at the office. I started digging into Shane. Asked around. Turns out, Shane used to date Rachel. Like, way before Daniel. They were serious for a while but broke up when she moved to another city for a job. She came back later and met Daniel. No one really thought much of it, except now I was thinking a lot. So I followed Shane. Yeah, I know. Not my proudest moment, but at this point I was losing everything, and no one else was doing a damn thing. He left work around 6, headed straight to a bar over in Wicker Park. I waited outside. About 20 minutes later, guess who showed up? Rachel. She walked in like she'd done it 100 times. No hesitation. They hugged. Hugged long. And then they sat in the corner booth, heads close together. Talking like they were very familiar. And that's when it hit me. This wasn't just about jealousy. This was revenge. Rachel and Shane had set me and Daniel up. I had no proof yet, but everything started making sense. Shane still had feelings for Rachel. Rachel, probably angry or paranoid or just unwell, thought Daniel was cheating, or maybe she wanted him to look like he was. So they used Lisa. Manipulated her jealousy, fed her lies, got her to do the dirty work. Lisa gets fired, looks like the lone villain. Meanwhile, Shane slips back into the background. Rachel plays the hurt wife. And Mia? She was just trying to protect her friend Lisa. Which means I've been targeted from 4 different angles. But here's the worst part. 2 nights ago, someone broke into my apartment. Nothing was stolen. Not my laptop, not my phone, not even cash I had lying around. But my desk drawers were open. My flash drives gone. Only the ones labeled work. They were looking for something. I reported it. Cops took a report, said there was no forced entry. Which means it was someone with a key. Maintenance? Landlord? No idea. But someone wanted to erase something. I'm still suspended. Daniel still isn't answering. And I have no one left at work I can trust. But I'm not quitting. Not until I figure out exactly what they're hiding, and who else is involved. A week after the break-in, I decided I was done playing defense. I printed every email, every suspicious timestamp, every photo. The LinkedIn message. The photo of Rachel and Shane in that bar. Everything. And I sent it to Daniel. Not in a folder. Not neatly typed up. Just raw. Slapped together in an email titled, "You Deserve to Know." I didn't expect him to reply. Honestly, I didn't know if he'd even read it. But the next morning, I woke up to a single-line response, "Meet me. 3 p.m. Conference Room B. Don't be late." I barely had time to breathe. When I arrived, Daniel was already sitting at the long table. His eyes were bloodshot, and he looked like he hadn't slept in days. He didn't say anything at first. Just gestured for me to sit. Then he pulled out his phone. "Rachel confessed last night," he said. Voice low. Flat. I just stared. He slid the phone across the table. I recorded it. I hit play. Rachel's voice came through, choked, messy, shaking. "I'm sorry, okay? I didn't think it would go this far. I just wanted you to feel what I felt when you spent all your time with her. I thought maybe you'd leave her behind and notice me again. Shane said it'd be easy, just a few fake messages." Lisa was already jealous, I couldn't listen to more. I handed it back. Daniel sat in silence for a few seconds. Then he looked up and said, "I almost ruined your life." My throat was tight. "You didn't believe me." "I know," he said. "And I hate myself for it." We sat there, both just stuck. Staring at each other. Not knowing what to say next. Then the door opened. Mia walked in. She had no idea we were meeting. She looked at us, confused. What's going on? And then Lisa walked in behind her. That's when everything exploded. Daniel stood up. You two should hear this too. He hit play again. Rachel's voice filled the room. Every word. The setup. The jealousy. Shane's name. Mia turned to Lisa. You told me this was all real. You swore she was sleeping with him. Lisa's face went pale. I didn't know Shane was involved. I swear. I thought it was just them. I thought, her voice cracked. I was stupid. Mia looked shattered. You got me involved. You made me help you. Daniel's voice cut through the noise. Rachel and Shane manipulated all of you. Silence. Then Lisa sat down, hard. I've lost everything. Mia didn't sit. She just stared at the floor, then walked out without a word. Daniel turned to me. What do you want to do now? And I didn't know. I really didn't. Rachel and Shane were exposed. Daniel filed for a separation the next day. He asked me if I wanted to press charges, for defamation, for harassment. I said no. I just wanted out. Lisa quit. Word got around fast. The gossip turned into apologies. People started realizing how far the lies had gone. But the damage was already done. I went back to work eventually. Things were different. People were cautious around me. Polite. But distant. Daniel and I? We talked. We cried. We tried to rebuild something, maybe a friendship. But that kind of betrayal leaves a scar. Trust, once cracked, doesn't heal clean. Sometimes we have lunch. Mostly we keep our distance. The day I cleared out my personal files from the office, Josh, the junior guy, stopped by my desk. I never believed them, he said quietly. For what it's worth. It helped. A little. I still think about how easily it all happened. One jealous whisper. One wrong assumption. And suddenly, you're the villain in someone else's story. But I also learned something. People show you who they really are in moments of pressure. Some lie. Some stand silent. Some twist the knife. And a few, just a few, reach out when it matters. I lost a lot. My peace. My reputation. My sense of safety. But I didn't lose myself. And that's enough, for now. I'm still unsure of what's next. But I know this much. I'll never let anyone else write my story again.